Yours truly here recently went and saw The Room with an audience for maybe the 4th time running now, and as always it was absolutely brilliant. Greg Sestero was there to do a signing and a Q&A, and it was generally a really good evening. I highly enjoyed myself. But it got me thinking to myself, man, I really love bad movies. It's kind of a problem, but I also love weird movies, and sometimes the two can co-align with each other. And that's what got me thinking about making this video today. I'm talking about the sort of films that sneak their way onto your shelves, like a little Meet the Feebles snuggling next to your copy of Reservoir Dogs, or, you know, a little 1964 Pinocchio, you know, spooning your copy of Interstellar. That sounds kind of hot. I'm talking about the sort of films that make you scratch your head in confusion, you know, scratching so hard that you get through to your scalp, gradually scratching through to your skull, and eventually scratching away so feverishly that you end up giving yourself permanent brain damage. Believe me, weird movies can do that to you. I'm an expert. But I hear a very small majority of people asking why I love weird movies. These films are clearly made terribly and they're bad. And it's a very simple answer. They can kind of, sort of, be a lot of fun. I've always been a firm believer that even with a weird movie, or even with a bad movie, or both, you can certainly get a lot of mileage from a poorly written and poorly produced production. It's why Neil Breen can get away with casting himself in every film he's ever made. It's the sole reason why everyone like myself loves to lob spoons during a screening of The Room. It's why The Wicker Man, the remake to be exact, is beloved as an absolute fucking fever dream. They're just good old fun. I've got a small pile of these said weird films next to me, and these 4 are by weird definition, and I'll be saying that word a lot. Because when I say that, I mean bonkers, batshit crazy, bizarre, all the other words that you can use in the dictionary. And I think I found some good ones here. I'm Gabe, and these are some of the weirdest films in my collection that I own, and I would definitely recommend you guys take a look at. But first, a quick self-promotion. My latest project, Slice of Life, is now available for pre-order on gemcollectorfilms.com. It is completely uncensored, as you all know how YouTube gets. But due to crazy inflation affecting shipping prices, DVDs may be a little more expensive to send internationally. So to combat this, I have recently set up a Patreon. All of my previous projects are on here, plus a majority of my older videos that were heavily censored, all in one place for a very affordable price, plus some very nice perks. Don't worry, the channel will not be hidden behind a paywall and will still be free on here. So like, comment, subscribe and smash that bell. But of course, if you would like to support the Patreon, that would be incredible. I will leave a link down below where you can follow that if you'd like. Thank you very much, and let's get back to talking weird films. Picture this. You're a 37-year-old Herschel Gordon Lewis who is working for an advertising firm in Chicago, making and producing very sleazy, dirty movies. And one day, all these movies that you're making aren't selling as well anymore. So you're sitting there as Herschel Gordon Lewis going, thinks, pontificates, scratches chin very badly on the camera. I know what I gotta do to make people go to the cinema. I've got to include blood, gore, Playboy models, and someone get me a garbage truck because I'm gonna create the worst death scene in cinema history and no one's gonna stop me. And bada bing bada boom, Bloodfeast hit the drive-ins in 1963. It's a very simple story really of Fawd Ramses, a Egyptian immigrant who probably burps, do excuse me, who also owns an exotic catering business. But that's not all he just does. He's got a side hustle, this boy. He also likes to chop up women and store their body parts so that he can resurrect an Egyptian goddess called Ishtar. It became a cult hit with drive-in audiences, not just because of its really extreme gore, especially for 1963, but because this film is hilariously bad.
Who did this to you, Janet? What did the person look like?
Wild eyes. I was walking. He came from behind a bush.
Now, according to different sources that are probably well documented nowadays, Herschel Gordon Lewis worked with a budget of under $25,000. That is insane. It was shot in a motel complex in Miami, Florida, not just because it was cheap. You see, Herschel here had a knack for finding props already in those locations. I believe the reason being it was because there was a sphinx that was already in the car park, and the goddess statue of Ishtar that we see in Ramses' lair, you know, where he's stirring up some dried ice, that was in the motel lobby. Did I also mention that this film took 9 days to shoot? 9 days. It still blows my mind. It makes me think how. But also to add to this is that during the production of Blood Feast, Herschel didn't even have a finished script. Man, this guy didn't give a toss. These poor actors, these poor souls, didn't have any time to rehearse anything, and to be honest with you, I don't think it would have helped, and the results are absolutely hilarious.
Have you ever had an Egyptian feast?
Why, that would be fine. That would be perfect. My daughter, Suzette, is a student of Egyptian culture. Mr. Ramsey, she'd just love it. An Egyptian feast.
Yes.
The camera framing is awful, and the interactions between these characters are very stiff and bizarre. It's just absolutely glorious. I have no other words for it. But we're not here for a good story, are we? We are here for blood, we're here for gore, and we're here for dismemberment. And Blood Feast hits all 3 of those bases. And like I said previously though, yeah, this film is rushed to hell and back. You know, scenes just feel incredibly weirdly paced. Every death is laughable in this as well. But I've got to be honest with you, I imagine at the time nobody had seen violence like this in their lives. So in a way, Herschel Gordon Lewis is considered the godfather of horror. He helped birth the subgenre of the splatter film. And I've got to give credit where it's due. Believe it or not though, it even influenced John Waters.
I could see the drive-in from climbing up on this construction site. I could see the drive-in, so I would take binoculars and try to go up there at night and look at it.
We did not know anything about him watching those movies with binoculars from a hill, but he told us about it when we were coming home in the car on Thanksgiving Day. That was really the first time I'd ever heard of it.
If John watched my movies through binoculars at a drive-in with no sound, he's more of a masochist than I realized.
With all of its glaring issues aside though, I can't recommend Blood Feast highly enough. And yeah, sure, it's got some glaring issues that stick out like a sore thumb, or in this case, you know, a kneecap in the bath. Get yourself some mates over, get a lot of beers, and have yourself a good old chuckle.
Try to tell us who did it. You must. Try. Try to tell us, Tony.
No, sir. I can't even.
Harmony Korine is no stranger to weird and unconventional films, but I am confident that Julian Donkey Boy is, how should I describe it? It's the film where all of the wheels completely fall off the wagon in the best way possible. It follows Julian, played by Ewan Bremner, yes, the same Ewan Bremner who played Spud in Trainspotting. He's an undiagnosed schizophrenic man who lives in a dysfunctional household, overbeared by his emotionless and abusive father, played by allegedly Werner Herzog. Despite the very, very bleak description I've given this movie, its ability to deal with the subject of this sort of condition respectively and realistically. And I felt nervous saying that because it's almost too real at times. I have zero knowledge of what it's like to experience this condition or live with anybody who has, and I'm not going to pretend I know what it looks like, but Bremner did an amazing job at portraying this character. He is very unpredictable at times, being childlike at one point and then the next pointing a shotgun at a mirror talking to himself. It's quite scary. Why this feels so real to me is also because Korine actually based this character and the film around his uncle who has schizophrenia, and was at one point going to actually cast his uncle as Julian. For reasons to be expected though, this was, impossible to do, so they casted Bremner instead. He spent days sat in a mental institution to get a better understanding of him, figure out his body language, his quirks, and what really makes him, him. Why this film is so strange is a few things. Like Gummo, there is no conventional structure. It doesn't have a beginning, middle, or an end. Stuff just kind of happens and we're just watching this family's life just unfold before our eyes. And it goes all over the place. One of these other things is the performances, and that is the performance of Werner Herzog. This guy plays an absolute madman. he certainly wouldn't be getting a Best Dad of the Year mug on Father's Day. Like Julian, he's completely unpredictable and you never know what he will do next, either having pretend conversations with Hitler and weird exercise routines getting his children involved. But one of the other reasons why I think this film is classed as weird is it's got a very unique look and style to it. It was made using the Dogma 95 code, and I won't go into too many specifics with this because in order to make a Dogma 95 film, you've got to follow a strict set of rules, and you know, it's exhausting basically. It's the reason why there's not a lot of natural light and there's quite a lot of very shaky camera work. The cameraman wasn't drunk, it was all Dogma 95, honest. It was shot using a high 8 camcorder that was then transferred to 35mm, which then, you know, blows the resolution way up, making the image feel really warped and discoloured. And I personally quite like this choice. It already gives this weird world with these weird inhabitants a kind of distorted view, or if you want to get pretentious, it could be how Julian might actually see the world. But also I quite like the shaky camera work, it makes it look a bit like a low budget documentary. The authenticity there is fantastic. If you can get past this film's unconventional look and feel, then you're in for a truly bizarre, one of a kind film that's got to be seen to be believed. It goes from places that I wouldn't expect, and it shows you something different that I can definitely get with.
Straight from Alabama, way down south, and you know that I'm a black albino. Straight from Alabama, way down south, and you know that I'm a black albino. Straight from Alabama, way down south, and you know that I'm a black albino. Straight from Alabama, way down south, and you know that.
Now I've covered this film on the channel before, and I couldn't help but not include it because it fits the weird category perfectly. Wakaliwood's Huko Captain Alex is Uganda's ultimate love letter to action cinema. Whatever ridiculous idea they have, they go with it, and sure, the effects are incredibly low quality and were pulled clearly from a basic SFX pack offline, but man, this movie is just downright great and was a massive undertaking for director Isaac Godfrey Jeffrey Labwana. Remember, this film was made in Uganda with zero budget, just pure passion. It's visible that everyone seems to be having a blast making this, and it really shows.
Go! Fire!
Now let me get it. Now let me get it. Now yeah. Master.
So I was just expecting a regular DVD, not a DVD with my name on it, saying that I killed Captain Alex, with kind of a really low pencil drawing of that, which obviously someone's kid has drawn, which is really sweet. Stickers, a big sticker, a bigger sticker, and a picture of this dude holding a gun with mine. Apparently I'm Commando Gabriel. Apparently. They put so much love and care into this. And there's even a little note. You probably can't see that, but I will read that out to you. It says here, this DVD was produced by Wakaliwood. If there is a problem with the disc, kindly send us an email and we are happy to replace it. The email. Though please be aware that performance will vary over time with normal usage. Note that there is no menu on this DVD. Most of our customers in Uganda have either lost or broken their remote controls, so it helps if the movie just starts. The director's commentary begins right after the feature film. Thank you for supporting us and loving action movies. Even though, like I was saying, it's badly made, obviously, you know, it's made with the most amount of love and care you can possibly shake a stick at, and I'm all for that. But enough reminiscing though. It does have some weird factors thrown into there though. Spoiler alert, no one knows who actually killed Captain Alex. I know it's a plot hole, but I just found that really funny. But the crown jewel here is none other than VJ Emmy.
This is VJ Emmy, live in the studios from Wakaliwood, Uganda. Get ready. Raymond Film Productions.
You're probably wondering, what is a VJ and what is an Emmy? Well, I'm glad you asked because I had no clue at first either. A VJ's purpose, I believe, is to add their own commentary and jokes over on a movie, and it's more of a thing in Uganda, but Emmy here is completely locked in, just screaming at the action and just making terrible jokes. It is just two chef's kisses. it is just pure chaos.
Commando! Commando! This is serious. Everybody in Uganda knows Kung Fu. The movie's on. The movie's on. The movie's on.
There isn't much really else to say here about this one other than go check this one out. Wakaliwood have a massive back catalogue and they're very, very unique. I couldn't finish this video without including this one. Tokyo Gore Police is the definition of a goddamn fever dream. It is absolutely bonkers. No, scrap that. It somehow is more than bonkers. It throws every crazy idea at the wall and somehow it sticks. I discovered this film when I was a teenager and would pass it around to my friends in school, and I remember getting the DVD back off of them and they all said the same thing: you aren't coming to my house ever again. A true story. So how can I describe this one then? Do you like Japan? Do you like gore? Do you like it where flesh chairs urinate on people at a strip club? Then I guess this one's kind of up your alley. Tokyo Gore Police, made by the same creators as Meatball Machine, another really mental film from Japan, is the result where limited time and budget meets creative lunacy. And that is the best way I can describe it. It's set in this dystopian Japan where this mad scientist unleashes a virus that mutates people into biomechanical creatures known as engineers. A young woman named Ruka also works for a private police force who are tasked with killing these engineers. She does have her own arc in the story, but I'm trying my best not to spoil this for anybody because it's best to be seen to be believed. But it wouldn't be a dystopian splatter film set in Japan without a good sprinkle of some of that police brutality. And as it would be, engineers have also mutated the police force, causing nothing but pure chaos. Now where this gets weird is, well, everything. I'm not joking. The creature designs are insane. These engineers possess the ability to transform injuries into weapons, resulting in very creative body horror effects that would make Junji Ito and David Cronenberg very, very jealous. Limbs sprout into blades and flesh guns, and my favourite scenes of these is where a woman's legs morph into a crocodile's jaws and a bloke's winkle becomes a cannon. I am not joking. And to top it all off here, there is so much blood. Like gallons of blood.
So much blood! There's so much blood! It's paint, Jim! So much paint!
It squirts and sprays out of people like the biggest super soaker you can find in Toys R Us. And I love it. Even though the practical effects are very clearly low quality, I mean, these are clearly rubber heads, like no one is being fooled here. The violent charm here is off the scale. With all of this great body horror aside though, Tokyo Gore Police not only has substance, but it's got lots and lots of style. It's shot and framed with an outrageous anime or graphic novel in mind. The creators here were clearly inspired by the works of Tsukamoto, the over-the-top anime like Genocyber or even Akira, but also with nods of RoboCop with its infomercial satire. Yes, this film has infomercials. It's safe to say that this is the very first time I have ever seen adverts for self-harm blades and remote control extermination. It's obviously a piss take of Japanese culture, of course, and maybe the problems surrounding it, but it never takes itself too seriously. With the films that I've mentioned that it was clearly inspired by, it does share that strand of DNA, and it still manages to create something completely unique, and Tokyo Gore Police is something that I can recommend to anybody in a heartbeat. Regardless if you love Japanese cinema or want to find something nuts, this is an absolute rollercoaster ride that refuses to let go, and it is still an absolute ton of fun. I've got a boatload of weird and bizarre films at my disposal that I would love to discuss and talk about on this channel, but I'd be here all bloody week. So with that being said guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know down below what your favourite weird and bizarre movie is. I would love to know. And of course, don't forget to hit like, subscribe and smash that bell. All that good stuff, and I will see you again very, very soon. Thank you.